Hello everyone, this is Weather coming at you with another update. In this update, we're going to be talking about a major winter storm with heavy snow, some severe weather, as a much calmer week ahead will transition into a very active week. So before I do get started, if you do like weather-related content, please subscribe to my channel as I will upload daily updates to keep you ahead of the storm. And I do ask you to share this video with your friends and family on social media, right? So let's get started. Let's take a look at the overall watches and warnings as of Saturday, March the 6th. And you can definitely see it's pretty calm across the nation. We have definitely been enjoying the springtime temperatures out in the U.S., but it's going to be fairly calm this week as we deserve a little bit calmer week ahead, but things are actually going to be changing in a big way. So let me kind of walk you through this. Here's Sunday, March the 7th. We do have a storm system that's going to be coming off the Pacific coast. That's going to bring some more rain for you guys in Portland, Seattle, getting into northern portions of California, probably creeping into San Francisco with probably 1 to 2 inch rains coming up over the next several days, and some snow start entering the picture into the higher elevations, into Idaho, into Oregon and Washington as well. So, and out here it's been fairly dry and pretty calm across the central and northern U.S. By Tuesday, that same system will continue moving across. That'll bring some more snow showers, heavier snows into Idaho, into Montana. You can see these orange lines here. That's some of your warmer air. So a lot of these areas in the central U.S. and the southeast are well above normal and taking advantage of those springtime temperatures. And as we transition into Thursday, March the 11th, it starts to change a little bit. So that developing trough starts to really start digging down into the Pacific Northwest. That'll bring some cold air aloft, and that'll transfer to the surface and start dumping some snows into Nevada, getting into Utah, as well as places like Flagstaff, Arizona, getting into Colorado again, especially in the higher elevations, and that'll start to creep into Denver. But yeah, you can definitely see where these orange bands are. That is your warmer temperatures, and it's probably Thursday coming up is probably going to be some of your warmest days, warmest temperatures for a lot of you guys. Because if you look at the temperature anomalies, you can definitely see where the trough is and where that colder air is going to be tapping into. So all out here in the Pacific Northwest, into Washington, Oregon, and even into California is not going to miss out on this cooler air, as they're going to be 10 to 15 degrees below average, as well as, Arizona and into Utah and to Colorado, as well as Montana. But yeah, definitely out ahead of it. You've got that warm surge. And I do feel like, Thursday is probably going to be one of your, probably the hottest day of the week coming up, as these 10, 15, almost 20 to 25 degrees above average temperatures for much of the South, getting into the Ohio Valley, getting into the Northeast. But this trough means business, and it'll start digging deep, dragging in some of that colder air. And so by Saturday, that trough will really start to amplify over the Four Corners regions and really start dumping some heavier snows then, and tapping into some of that warmer Gulf air down to the south, and we'll transition into rain for parts of Texas, getting into Oklahoma, as portions of Louisiana. And we do see some colder air start to creep into the Northeast. That's going to be, some of the EPO start to go negative then, as the transition to a much colder pattern definitely is on the table by the time we get closer to the middle of the month. So as we go into Saturday, so that we're still watching that trough out here into portions of Colorado. By then, you should be getting some very heavy snow into places like Denver, especially as we go into New Mexico, and that'll creep into the portions of the Texas Panhandle, and even probably even into West Texas. I do expect probably some more snow for you guys coming up by Saturday, probably into Sunday as a chilly rain starts to take hold over, say, places like Dallas, getting into Austin, San Antonio, going into Houston, as that colder air will start to creep in from the higher levels. It'll be a step down process, so it's not all at once. So it'll be definitely a step down process. And then as into the Northeast, you can definitely see some of those colder air, 1034, high pressure here creeping into the Northeast. So places like Pennsylvania, getting into New York, that'll start to bring some more snow for you guys up there. But as that system really starts to dig deep, I mean, I do feel this is even probably going to be a little bit further south than what this is actually even displaying at the moment. But yeah, you can definitely see some heavier snow start to really break out into Kansas, into Nebraska, into Iowa. That'll creep into Missouri. So we're talking Sunday, March the 14th. And as this continues moving across, that'll continue lifting up, really amplifying, really start to dump some heavier snows again into Iowa. That'll get into portions of Minnesota, as well as Illinois, even into Wisconsin and down to the south. We have to start watching for possibly that severe weather setup, as you saw the clash in temperatures with some very warm temperatures down to the south, and very cold temperatures start to creep in with low pressure systems, and then eventually we'll start to take advantage of some of that Arctic air in Canada that will start pouring down into the U.S. But the good thing is, with that cold front that happened earlier in February, that creeped all the way down into Texas, and obviously you had those really extreme temperatures, but that also lessened the threat possibly for severe weather, or at least what it could be possibly in the middle of March, because these sea surface temperatures are approaching they're like 60 degrees, 64 degrees, and that's definitely well below average. And so I don't feel they'll have as much water vapor or as much intensity as these storms possibly could be, as if these temperatures were more normal into the 70s and 75 degrees. So that is a good aspect along the coast. I do feel like this would limit the possibility as this severe weather comes across. I still think we're going to get some severe weather, but it probably definitely won't be as strong as what it could be for this time of year with that clash in temperatures. Because if we look at the higher levels by Sunday, you can really start to see the big picture of what's really happening. As colder air starts to creep in, we start starting to set up over in the Northeast. That starts to kind of slow down the pattern, and that'll allow colder temperatures to really start to funnel down in the United States. Here's a trough, and that also has a cold core to it as well. So those colder temperatures will start creeping down all the way down into the south, and start mixing in with that warmer air. So that's where we're going to have those clash in temperatures and have some severe weather down to the south as colder air continues to drain into the deep south. So we could have some transition to snow, severe weather to the south and snow to the north. So as this continues moving across into the southeast, I do feel even places like Arkansas by then could start seeing some snow, especially as colder air starts to really intrude into the pattern. So by the 16th, March the 16th, you can definitely see a much colder look starts to really set up over the United States with that trough over the Northeast. We've got blocking up to the right of into New England, and then we have another trough developing into the Pacific Northwest. And with that colder air already in place, that'll just amplify it even more. So I do feel by the 17th, so like around St. Patrick's Day, we could be seeing some much colder temperatures all the way down to the deep south into Arkansas and Louisiana. Even into portions of the southeast is probably not going to miss out on some of this colder temperatures. But that just amplifies because that trough just swings across by the 18th. And that digs all the way down to the south. We talked about the Southern Oscillation Index being active yesterday, and that continues to remain active. And as these troughs will traverse across from west to east, that'll set the stage for more rain, and then possibly a mixture of rain to snow at even in down the portions of we may even see some snow possibly into the Carolinas by then, as this developing trough really starts to amplify, and it'll come up like a Miller type A type of setup for the Northeast, and that should produce a pretty big snowstorm for you guys along the Northeast, getting into New England. I know I've been talking about this 19th for a while, but the pattern still continues to show it in the cards of a big snowstorm, on the table for the Northeast around that time frame. Between say the 17th and say the 20th time frame, that definitely still appears on the table, and that really hasn't changed going forward. So, but yeah, here's your snow for the next 15 days. You can definitely see a much colder look starts to creep in the Pacific Northwest, where that P&A goes negative. That brings some heavier snows into Idaho, into Montana, into Wyoming, especially into Utah and Colorado. I think just gets crushed. And especially as we get later in towards the middle of March, March is your snowiest month. So I think that's just going to be right on par for the course, as definitely some feet of snow starts creeping into the picture, and even Denver won't miss out on that. And even the Texas Panhandle, I do feel Texas Panhandle, West Texas gets some snow, Oklahoma, Kansas, even in Arkansas. Yes, Missouri's probably going to be seeing some more snow by the time we get into the middle of the month. Iowa, Minnesota, Illinois, and into the Ohio Valley. I don't think winter's done, so enjoy the calm before the storm, as they say. And as we get into the Northeast, into New England, especially into New York, getting into Connecticut, Massachusetts, Boston, all along the coast, I do feel they're going to be picking up some heavier snows, especially probably a major snowstorm by the time we get into the later the following week. So it's going to be a very active pattern. So definitely enjoy the calm before the storm, because the following week gets really active, and you can definitely see where that southern oscillation starts to become more active, with it being negative. That'll set the stage for rain and thunderstorms and possibly some severe weather for the deep south. But we'll just have to see when some of these troughs that tap into how much that snow line is going to be able to creep a little bit further south, especially portions of the Carolinas. And then all this should be snow along the Northeast, and you can definitely see in the Pacific Northwest, man. I think you just become a lot more active as this goes forward, with that atmospheric river setting up, over the next 2 weeks. That's a lot of rainfall for you guys. So that'll kind of give you an idea of how I think all this is going to play out. So I appreciate you guys watching. Do like this video. Definitely leave your comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel to catch the latest update where I protect you before and after the storm.